You're listening to the Microsoft Innovation Podcast, where we explore the intersection of people, business, and technology. This year, we're adding a new show to our lineup, the AI Advantage, to help you learn the skills you need to thrive in the AI era.
Welcome to the Copilot Show, where I interview Microsoft staff innovating with AI. I hope you will find this podcast educational and inspire you to do more with this great technology. Now, let's get on with the show. In this episode, we'll be focusing on Microsoft DevOps with the Power Platform, generative AI tools, and Copilot Studio. Today's guests are from Slovenia and Hungary. They both work at Microsoft. In the low-code space, you can find links to their bio and social media in the show notes for this episode. Welcome to the show, Jozsef and Uros.
Thank you for having us.
Now, I probably butchered your name, so I'm going to get you to individually... Actually, I got your name wrong, Jozsef, right? So do you want to introduce yourself first and what part of the world you're in and how long you've been at Microsoft?
Okay, let's jump in. So the right pronunciation is József. And, I've been working at Microsoft for more than 10 years. And literally, I spent already 20 years in the software industry and did many, many different roles. So it's my latest and greatest now is technical specialist for digital natives. I just recently made a switch from my previous role, but literally I spent almost every corner in the sales organization, very technical ones and very sales-oriented ones. It really depended on that particular area. Few things about me. I have 3 sons, 5, 8, and 10-year-old ones. So that you can imagine that how much energy I need to manage them. So literally spend my spare time to play with them very often. My hobby, just to mention here, I'm a passionate runner. Every day, every morning, whatever condition, weather condition, it's even in winter, in snow, I will go to a run before sitting in my front of my laptop and start working on the particular day. So it's like, it's a passion. It's more than it's a passion. And what else? So, that I don't have any special one, but I really like the seafood in every kind of format, because Hungary is right now, it has no seaside. So it's I really like just big lobsters or things like that. So.
Can you not fish in your river? Don't you have a big river that runs through Hungary?
Yeah, we have rivers, but it's not the normal seafood. I really the seafood.
Valid. Uroš.
All right. So, my name is Uroš Kastelic. Again, a little bit challenging to pronounce, but I've been many things throughout my, let's say, career. One time I've been called Euro, like a currency, but that's also fine, it's just important that people try and care and they, through time they learn, of course. So I don't mind that. As long as, they come to me and, of course, they talk to me, that's valid. That's what matters, right? So my name is, Uroš Kastelic. I've been from Slovenia, as you mentioned. And coincidentally, I also have 3 kids, 2 daughters and 1 son. 2 daughters are the oldest ones, let's say. And I was like, okay, let's go for the 3rd one. Let's see what's going to happen. If I really want a son, if it's going to be a son, great. If not, it's also great. But, let's try for a son. And at the end, we manage it. So actually, there's a funny story behind this book and the kids. I'll talk a little bit later about this one, how we started writing this book. But coming back to what József mentioned, food, fun, these things, right? I'm also, I love food. I'm an occasional home chef, let's say it like this, not professionally at all. I'm trying to make some different dishes of, what I taste in foreign countries when I do private or business travels. And actually, I was just today trying to perfect onion cutting before this show. I cut my finger, so I still have a long way to go. But no, it's fine. It's just a little bit. So I still have a long way to go. But it's just, doing things that basically put some light in your day after the long day of work and the stress and everything like that. So de-stressed. So cooking is something that de-stresses me as well. And apart from that, with 3 kids, there's a lot of activities going on, right? So what I do like is during the weekend, spending time with them as much as I can. I've been traveling a lot during the first year at Microsoft. So, after COVID, during COVID and after COVID, I'm just, trying to spend as much time with them. They're early ages, so this is the most important time of their lives, I guess. And trying to make this valuable memories together with them, right? So we do a lot of hiking, cycling, these things, right?
What's the best things to do in your respective countries? If I was going to visit your countries, what's the one place in your mind that you'd go, you've got to go here, you've got to see this?
In Hungary, I would say that you need to see the Lake Balaton, one of the largest lake in Central and even in almost the entire Europe. So it makes sense to go there. You can sail there, and also, many strands. It's a really big area for summertime. And of course, you need to have a look at all of our buildings and sightseeing opportunities in Budapest, a lovely country. I don't know whether you have seen, but the recent movies, many recent movies are just produced here. So occasionally, a few months ago, there were a couple of very famous actors alongside the Danube, and you could just meet with them. It's accidental, so it's crazy that how Hollywood considers now Budapest as a location for film production. So it's unbelievable. So these are the two things that you just makes really, if you come here, then just discover it because it makes sense.
I've done the second one. I've been on the Danube. I've been into Budapest, and my wife and I had a lovely, lovely time there. I like the saunas as well. The bathhouses, very nice.
Yeah.
But beautiful city, beautiful city. Slovenia, how about Slovenia? What's the highlights there?
Yeah, so Slovenia is relatively small, very beautiful country, green, and mountains, lakes, rivers, and a little bit of the sea as well. So if you have just one day, obviously the most touristic place I can think of right now would be Lake Bled, which is like a nice lake, a glacier lake with island in somewhere in the middle with a church on top. So you can take a boat, go there and, just walk around a little bit. But as I said before, Slovenia being a relatively small country, actually, there are, more adventurous people that do traverse from, mountains to the sea in one day or things like that. Wow. So whatever you like, right? We have basically everything. It's a beautiful small country with plenty of varieties that you can taste and try. Yeah.
I like it. So one of the things I want to focus on today is this book that you have written. So tell us, first of all, what is the book? What's the subject that it focuses on, and how did it come about?
Okay, I'll take it. The book is about DevOps and Power Platform. So these are two particular orthogonal topics. And if you speak with developers, don't really understand what Power Platform is. And if you talk with people from the BizOps solution area, then they don't really understand what DevOps is. So, and we have decided after the first contact with the publisher Pact, the publishing company Pact, that it really makes sense to start discovering this area and to write down the things that, we have seen with our customers and with we have already experienced with our enterprise customers, and how they manage those environments and how we can combine DevOps in the low-code, no-code area. So that was the initial idea, and the book itself the title of the book is The Mastering DevOps on Power Platform. And if I already seen, Uroš has copy in his hand.
Excellent. Now, I'm surprised that Microsoft folks like yourself wrote this book, right? Because it's not necessarily about moving licenses or moving, selling the Power Platform, pro seats, that type of thing. How much in your day-to-day role in engaging with customers does this whole subject of DevOps come up? And, when you're selling obviously to a technical stakeholder, it's extremely important, right? Because sometimes there's a consideration that because it's low-code, there's no kind of rigor. There's no technical rigor in the work that is done. So how important does the discussion around DevOps really help position the platform correctly in the customer's mind?
Yeah. If I may jump into this one a little bit, right? So first of all, with Jozsef, we worked in, let's say, same roles as a specialist for low code, trying to, position and of course sell Power Platform licenses to the clients in order for them to basically build up the applications, BizApps applications on Power Platform, automate workflows and so on. But we worked in two different, let's say, areas within our European, let's say, area called the Central Eastern and Middle East and Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I was working actually in more for the Southeast countries, and he was working in Central Europe, European countries. So I'll share my view of what I've experienced with my clients. And of course, Jozsef, you can with yours, but I think it will align, right? So basically what I've come across with is that the clients who start with Power Platform, usually you have like two different set of clients. One that basically jump directly to, like trying to perfect everything. Usually there's someone from maybe an IT or someone technical that is looking into this and saying, all right, let's get it off and get it right? And they start looking into things from the beginning around the governance, setting up the governance and so on. And somehow they come across this, like application lifecycle management. We mentioned it somewhere in our documentation, but never no one was really focusing on it, right? So they hear about it or they read about it, but they don't really go deep on this one, right? So during the workshops that we have or during the conversation with the clients we have around, like center of excellence and governance, also one topic that comes up is application lifecycle management, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they usually put it aside. Somewhere after we do the security, we do the governance thing, and we make sure that everything is locked, we will then take care of the ALM as well, right? So that's one part of the client. The other part of the clients is, let's just start with Power Platform. Let's try to build what we can, and we'll do that, right? And they don't even bother around, the governance and the Power Application Lifecycle Management, the DevOps and so on. So our idea of this book is actually to help both worlds come together and understand the importance of doing this. And we talk about all these different approaches, like managed pipelines. We talk about, more professional approach with the DevOps. Where we basically align with the clients is that, of course, when you start doing this, you need to somehow start doing this in the managed way. So if you start building the apps, sooner or later, you will have to do this in a managed way. So we start talking about, for example, the managed environments, and sooner or later we come to, of course, solutions, of course, and how to basically use those solutions to start building and deploying solutions in a managed way, right? And then this is where we basically position the DevOps, and every client that we talk to understands this, but they are on a different journey. We are all aware of the Power Platform adoption maturity level or model, where we can position a client on this, like XY chart, where they are positioned based on the adoption maturity level, right? And with all the clients, we have to do this. We have to assess and analyze where they are and how to improve their maturity level with the Power Platform as well. So application lifecycle management is one dot that we can put somewhere on that maturity level graph. And we have to somehow help them improve it, right? To understand that, yes, ALM, DevOps is one of the important things there. And if you want to do this right, if you want to basically tackle this properly, it should be there as well. So this book tries to address this concern, right?
And is it a step-by-step manual on how to do it? So if I, let's say I had a level 200 understanding of DevOps, of pipelines, of GitHub, things like that, will this take me to like a 400 level? Will this give me what's your view on that?
Yeah, I mean, that we have created not just the step-by-step guides, it's just like, follow our guidance, and based on that you create this particular environment, but we have also provided the appropriate GitHub repositories under the hood. So it's not just like, clicking, but also you can try it out, and it brings you to level 400. So if I remember back, I spent literally one chapter discovering the DevSecOps capabilities of GitHub, and I went down things like, how you can utilize CodeQL to check your extensions based on those definitions that GitHub Advanced Security brings to you. So it's not just really very simple way to do, but we try to go as deep down as possible. And we have also utilized some MVPs around the world to check our chapters and check out and go through our guidelines and descriptions how to realize those things in their own tenants and in their own repositories. So I feel that it's pretty deep experience. And back to your question. So what I've experienced, and this is what I really like nowadays to experience, that the more mature the enterprise is, the more eager to learn about DevOps. And it's an immediate question. Okay, what about DevOps? Do you have CI/CD pipelines? I was just really excited when I first heard these questions, let's say 1 year ago. And at that time, I already knew that we are on the right track, or we were on the right track to write this book, because it's something that's something that was really missing from the market. And sure, we have these managed pipelines, and sure, our product group has also realized that it's part of the offering. But if you have a large enterprise, and we are talking about enterprises having hundreds of thousands of employees, and when you have hundreds of thousands of employees having, I don't know, hundreds or 200s or even more mission critical applications, then it's not a question that, you need to do one step back and you need to utilize the real DevOps capabilities or which DevOps tools, modern DevOps tools can offer you, among others, the security as well. So that was a very warm surprise for me that, customer asked about DevOps.
Yeah. And maybe just one thing to add here, many times when I'm talking with the clients, they think of Power Platform being just this low-code, no-code solution, right? And they forget that we have this possibility of a flexible platform of extending throughout also, professional developer tools like Azure DevOps and GitHub also is, right? So it gives the customers, or basically, organizations, this option of being flexible. If you want to go with the managed pipelines, go ahead, use that so that you basically cover the needs of the ALM. But if you want to go, all in and do more things and also incorporate these to, let's say, your project management needs that you're currently doing with Azure DevOps through, for example, Azure Boards, for example, or GitHub, you can do that as well, right? And that's the beauty of the Power Platform.
Dynamics Minds is one event you don't want to miss. Microsoft product managers and industry leaders from all over the world converge in Slovenia to explore the latest in Dynamics 365, the Power Platform, and Copilot. Expect 3 days of in-person community connection, trailblazing insights, and a location sure to inspire our creativity. Early bird tickets are on sale now, and podcast listeners get 10% off by registering via the link in the show notes. Hope to see you there.
Yeah, very flexible. How much did you work with the product team in developing the book? In other words, did you have to get additional insights from them, even perhaps where roadmap was going? One of the challenges with the book is that once you've written it in the tech space, it starts to become obsolete because new features come out, things change. So how do you answer that?
That was funny, actually. One of their first comment, why the book if it's going to be obsolete, even, from the moment you launch it. But Jozsef has a nice story of, he was basically engaged with a couple of, let's say, folks from the product team. So maybe Jozsef, you can respond to that.
Yeah. I just try to recall, that what occasion it was, because we have a tour of, it was something like a Power Platform, 1.5 years ago. But long story short, the VP of Power Apps, Ryan Cunningham, has visited also Hungary, and I have the opportunity to go to dinner with him after the one-day workshop and delivering everything that we have planned. And, I just mentioned during the dinner that we are planning to write a book about DevOps and the Power Platform and how these two particular disciplines can be combined together. And he said that, that's great, that's fantastic that we are going to do something like that. And he immediately offered his help. And after we have discussed together with Uroš the next steps, I reached out to him that, look, okay, we will write something, but we want to write something about up-to-date, relevant, and somehow preserve it for the future. And we could organize several calls with the Power Plat architecture teams. So the ones, at that particular partner level, working for Power Platform, could give us insights, of course, under NDA, that what is planning. And we have considered all these things writing the book that to reach this particular relevance and keep the relevance of the book and the content of the book.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic experience that I know VPs, I can reach out to them, I can chat with them. So I could reach out to Ryan per chat and of course, he has answers. So different mindset, how these guys consider the product and also the sales and field people to win new and new customers and win new and new solutions on the platform itself. So
Yeah. And of course, Ryan has so much history and legacy, being that he really owned CDS,
exactly.
or Dataverse, right? With it, he was the lead on that when it came to market for the Power Platform. So he incredibly knowledgeable guy, great guy. Tell me about, now that we've moved into a world of Copilot and organizations are looking at how Copilot Studio governance comes into play. And one of the things that I was, just in the tail end of last year, working with some internal teams at Microsoft, and this question of Copilot governance came up. And where does that sit in the ecosystem of understanding levers, what tools, what's available from a governance perspective? And therefore, how does that fit into an ALM story as well? And how clients should be thinking of AI in a low-code context, but also with that rigor in place. What are you seeing?
So when it comes to the Copilot Studio, there's just one additional service in the Power Platform that is basically, when looking at the DevOps and application lifecycle management, done in the same way as Power Apps or Power Automate. It's going to be packed into the solutions, right? Now, and once you have something in a solution, then you apply basically similar mechanism as before mentioned, right? For all the services. When the Copilot Studio, or basically actually Copilot Studio is a relatively new name, right? We know Copilot Studio already from the Power Virtual Agents from before, right? And we had to tackle this ALM, let's say, challenge already in the past, right? So we've done it this way. With Copilot Studio, recently we've got some nice new looking features, like, for example, allowing us to do templates, which significantly helps organizations to deploy new agents through templates, for various different scenarios, industry specific cases, and so on. But when concerning, the DevOps approach, that's something that we do in the same way. However, when looking at the Copilot Studio and the agents, as you said, we have to look at it more holistically, because one thing is utilizing the GPT, or basically the LLM that is inside the tool itself. But one thing is, many times we see that the customers would like to expand their footprint. They might go with Azure and they want to, for example, leverage LLMs or different basically models that are available there, right? So we have to look holistically at how to manage the entire, let's say, project of building this kind of agents, right? And then, even broader, actually, when it comes to this, agents usually connect to some backend services, like through connectors. And so actually, it's not just an agent within the Copilot Studio. It's actually the full-blown project that we're looking at. And we need to basically find a way how to manage all of that. So one is, of course, building the UI through Copilot Studio. But then next to it is, are we leveraging the same LLM that is built inside, or are we going above and beyond with Azure? How to deploy that? If we package everything, we're going to deploy it to Teams or Microsoft 365. Through which channels are we going to deploy this, right? So there's a lot of things that we need to address. We try to cover some of these things also in the book. But of course, Copilot Studio is rapidly evolving these days, right? So there are new things coming into, models are changing. And yeah, maybe, like now, Jozsef, you being, like part of this different team, let's say, of digital natives, maybe you can share something around, the Azure LLM, or your view on this one.
Yeah, I mean, that really just add thoughts of Uroš that, since Copilot is part of the Power Platform, what we have written in the book, you can utilize it as much as you want. And not mentioning the fact that one of the greatest security enhancement of the entire Power Platform was dated back to last year autumn, when we have announced that you can put your Power Platform environment into a virtual network. You can utilize the VNet subnet injection. And with that, the particular door is open, or was opened up for every integration scenarios utilizing the underlying Azure as well. And, it's very simply way you can create a custom connector that leverages the Azure API management service that calls out to your favorite large language model or the large language model that you have fine-tuned. And imagine that the power of this thing that you can use DeepSeek in your chatbot that is secured on Azure, running on Azure enterprise environment. There is no data collection and data filtering and utilizing for the training or retraining of the DeepSeek, but still you can use the DeepSeek model if you want. And many more, as many as available right now in our model catalog. And it's more like 1,400-500 different models. So it's unbelievable. And not mention the fact that right now, because I work with digital natives in the email organization, it's a large organization, but they wanna speed. These digital natives wanna reach these particular large language model capabilities as fast as possible. Not necessarily directly built into the product, but imagine that you have a product, you have something that you try to sell day by day, but you need to manage the support team, you need to manage your sales team, you need to utilize even the autonomous agents. These are the things that even hardcore developers now want to understand what you can do with the help of Copilot Studio. Because, everybody can write a large language model-based chatbot or even autonomous agent. It's only a question of time. It takes 2 weeks, or for me, last time during an AI tour, I created an autonomous agent in less than 20 minutes. Wow. And it was about a refund agent. Assuming that you have an e-commerce platform, you sell laptops, and I've created an autonomous agent that can manage customers' claim and refund requests based on the policy that was provided by that particular e-commerce company. Imagine that. And this particular speed is very, very relevant for these advanced customers, I would say. And Copilot Studio wants additional information as background that previously, so when it was only the Power Virtual Agents, there were only 20 engineers working on the product. Right now, there are 500 engineers working on the same product. And we see this particular developer velocity day by day because new and new features are being released almost every day, but at least once in a week. So there's the power behind this. And, many, many more in governance capabilities. I will just also put some notes here that we can talk about the data loss protection policies. They are there. We can talk about the graph connector integration. So if I consider the platform from M365, graph connector is not just about, your access, or it considers your access level to most of the data sources that you can add through graph connector. We have, under the hood. And Copilot Studio can even raise your attention that the information that was provided is classified as confidential or highly confidential. And these are the things that you can do, of course, from scratch. But imagine that how much time you need to spend on it and how much effort you need to invest to reach that level of complexity and capability of the Copilot Studio. So I'm a super fan of the Copilot Studio, whatever I'm doing in Azure or in Power Platform or Dynamics or M365, because I think that the Copilot Studio agent or the entire idea on the autonomous agents is brilliant. And next future, the next step in the future is like, the dark factories that we will have autonomous factories working in the dark without electricity, without lightning, because the robots don't need lights to do their job, right? This is the same level of inspiration that I get from the.
I love that. As we go to wrap up, how do you personally use AI? So not selling to a customer, or you might use it as part of your selling process to a customer, but how are you personally integrating AI into your life?
That's a big one. Actually, every day, more or less. Like, for example, like even mentioning the kids in the beginning, right? Even when we have to work together on some, like homeworks with kids, I come to it, I ask, oh, I forgot, like how to do this, like, please remind me of this school lesson that I had, like, many years ago and how to do that. But that's just one, example. The other thing is, in sales, we use a lot generative AI, like understanding the clients, understanding the potential, leads, opportunities, how to evolve that. So that's part of, like the sales cycle. Also, like from private life, using it for, giving suggestions around, like where to go, what to do, what kind of ideas could we have around, maybe some activities. The one thing that, many people ask me is, have you used Copilot to write the book, right? Because it was actually, generative AI was available at that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, and I think Jozsef will agree with me, like although generative AI, at least at that time, was, let's say, in a sense, already available, giving you the ideas of writing potentially some chapters and so on. It's not something that you can really rely on, especially, like when you're writing a book, it's really your own thoughts.
Yes.
You have to put your own thoughts in all of this. And actually, what I found is at the end of the day, when I started putting my experience, my thoughts into the book, I was actually doing it much faster than relying on any other tools to help me with that. It's completely different thing. So definitely generative AI has a lot of potential, but that's also, as the name suggests, right? It's just a co-pilot right now, right? It's something that it will help you do things, but it's still on you to basically look into that, understand where you want to go, validate what's the output, and basically either go with it or just ditch it, right? So yeah, that's how I use it. József, maybe you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you told everything. So when I use it, imagine that typical sales scenarios when you get a public sector tender written in any language besides English. So when you get such a specification, roughly 200 pages, then I use Copilot, even agents, to understand the content and understand and find, the key or criterion or criterias in a certain area. So it's very, very, very powerful, very helpful. But the other side, in the agentic world, I have already imagined an agent managing my son, year 5, many homeworks. Of course, he says all the time, no, I'm fine. I've already done my homework. But imagine that if I had an autonomous agent that would double check these statements and also ask for proof of delivery, like, providing a picture and have a look at it. Just take a picture of your homework and let my agent check the outcome, whether you have really done it. So unbelievable. But yeah, we use it day by day, and it's part of our work to ease our time that we invest to our customers.
It's so good.
It's just one last thing, maybe GitHub Copilot, right? For, we as, like, even though that we are, sellers, we still do some hands-on work. We still maybe, like prepare demos and things like that. And I often find myself, maybe from today I get the task that tomorrow I need to present something to a client. And, I know what I want to do, and I want to do it maybe, like focused or tailored for their industry or something like that. So I just go to GitHub Copilot, say, like, okay, I need this app. I want to, like build an app that is more, like specific to maybe a website for the financial industry, like a bank or something like that. I get the help from the GitHub Copilot to build a template around this. And then on top of that, I add, for example, Copilot Studio with an agent so that I basically can demonstrate the capabilities of a Copilot Studio on the external website, like an external agent or this kind of a chatbot experience that we used to have, things like that. So prototyping is also a nice way where Gen AI can help.
I love it. Jozsef, Uros, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been interesting. I actually wanted to drill into the art of writing a book in a lot more detail. I've actually just been contracted to write one for Microsoft Press myself. And so I've got 3 months to output a book on Copilot adoption. And so it's an exciting time, but it's my first time writing a book. And of course, it's there's a lot of work, right? There's a lot of work in writing it.
Yeah, I remember myself once, because you still have to do your daily job. You still have to take care of the kids. And then during the night, you start writing. I remember myself, like at one point, I realized it was like 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, woke up myself behind the laptop, like with my keyboard, with my hands on the keyboard, like pressing the letter Z or something in the Word document. It was
Yes.
horrible, actually, but you do it because you see the future, like it's
Yes.
a positive future ahead, right? And you see this end goal and you want to achieve it. And of course, you just struggle through this. And of course, it's not a struggle. It's actually, it gives a lot of benefits as well, like personally as well. So you achieve another task. So yeah, good luck to you, Mark.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
good
you.
luck, good luck, good luck. And it really simplifies your life. I mean that not your life, but your thoughts, because the book helped me a lot to write down in a very simple way how very complex things work. And after that, it was much easier to talk with business folks as well. That look, okay, we use many, many abbreviations, we use many, many terms, and we also all the time change the naming. But the reality and the real use case behind this capability is that and that. And I've learned this from the book, really, to articulate those thoughts in a very simple but very, get the point way.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mark, for having us.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Mark Smith, otherwise known as the NZ365 guy. Is there a guest you would like to see on the show from Microsoft? Please message me on LinkedIn and I'll see what I can do. Final question for you. How will you create with Copilot today? Ka kite.
Are you ready to accelerate your career in the Microsoft ecosystem? The 90-Day Mentoring Challenge, created by Mark Smith, is your opportunity to create a personalized pathway to success. Join over 1,200 alumni from more than 70 countries who have achieved remarkable results, from promotions to new job opportunities. Take it from Nathan, who said, "Since completing the 90-Day Mentoring Challenge, I've become an MVP in business applications and doubled my income." Or from Parvez, who shares, "I've never felt as inspired or energized about my career as I do now." Sign up at arcor.nz365guy.com. You can find the link in the show notes. And if you use the code podcast, you'll get 10% off.